time now for the president, David Chartrand. Everybody's been waiting for you this morning.
Oh, thank you very much. And of course, we're getting all pumped up and getting ready. Because we only got given 4 days' notice. They're keeping everything in a dark box, we'll call it, until they can actually do all of the legalities out of the way and ensuring that the mechanism of authorizing the freedom of getting the information out was released. So we've been scrambling now, trying to get everything organized. So I apologize for everybody not being on the 12. But let me tell Jen, I probably have to go there pretty soon. My face starting to get too much wrinkles.
She doesn't do wrinkles, but if you got an tattoo that you want taken off, or a bit of a receding hairline, or she can help you out there.
I got a bald head. I got a few other things. Anyways, well, today, of course, is an historic day for us. This is something we waited for 154 years, and I can't express again enough the people. To all of those, even before me, that always fought to keep our culture and identity alive, because that resonates to truly what this is going to be all about in the future. And, this treaty is the change of 154 years of racism, discrimination, criticism, on not recognizing our existence, not recognizing that we had a government at all times and we were always here. And so it is really the template of a new change, and it's the foundation where it'll be up to us now to build the pillars that'll keep that treaty standing solid and firm, and that we will plant the seeds and the roots will wrap itself around the pillars, is my message to actually you'll hear me say today, because it'll really set the next pace for the next generation. It'll be where today you see so many new citizens coming out and applying for their citizenship card. You see that pride when they come, the enthusiasm when they come, and it just will enhance that pride even greater. It will grow inside of many. So the treaty will embrace the next generation to have pride in who they are. No more be ashamed. No more look at the Métis as have-nots or not even of any form or nature of having equality in this country. So it is very, 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 I think I would say, fitting in the context that sets the stage following with the 153 years we waited for the first recognition of Riel as the first Premier of Manitoba. So, we've been through many of a challenge throughout our history. I remember how proud I was when I came on the Supreme Court of Canada when we won the land claims in 2013. And that was a proud day for us. And this treaty sets the stage now for the government to start the negotiations immediately. And I'm hoping we can conclude those very quickly, and that'll change the very essence of the future for the next generation, meaning where we can have more education and supports in place. We can have more housing supports in place, more economic engines and more businesses. Right now we have over 770 businesses registered with our L'Oreal Capital Corporation Rotary that shows you all of the different specters of businesses that our people run. Now, the future you can't ask for it to be any brighter than it is now. Land claims, of course, will make it glow. But from my perspective, I just know the calls we got, Naomi, yesterday, like in our office yesterday, there was hundreds and hundreds, and I'm serious, hundreds of calls. Our reception was going crazy here.
Wow.
Because people are phoning to congratulate. I've got text after text. I got people, Métis, non-Métis people, First Nation people, all saying how proud they are of the achievement we've been able to achieve. And so it's something that's been long-standing for us, and I look forward to our ongoing work. You'll always hear from me that I recognize the First Nation governments, because they're a government. They're not a band, they're a government. And we need to organize ourselves to look at them in that stature. Like I was doing CGB at 7 o'clock this morning, and he said the group. I said, I'm not a group, I'm a government. But he understood, and we basically apologized for that. So it's just the way that people talk about us, organization, groups, they don't look at us as governments. And once you start to change the actual mentality, the actual philosophy of looking at directly at Indigenous people for what they are, business people, governments. They run their own governments. They run their own organized programs. So those are things that once they see that, they'll begin maybe to have a different perspective instead of looking at the negativity you read in the media, where you see the homeless, or you see people actually dying, or you see all the negativity that spins out in the media. But nobody talks about the positive change that we're making as Indigenous governments. You know, like you look down the scope downtown, Main Portage, what do you see? The big MMF sign. I'm sure you were glowing with pride, Naomi. And
Of course,
seeing,
yeah.
seeing the MMF, the red light that flows all the way to the top now at 24 stories. And so we also in the Bell MTS building right beside it. We own, of course, the Heritage Museum there. We own 200 Main. Then I heard of the announcement SCO are making in partnership with Mark Chipman and rebuilding Portage Place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are positive attributes of what we're doing. That's what this treaty sort of starts to implement, the recognition of our government. And we believe this will be the starting and changing point. But truly, I truly believe in the concept of the treaty being the foundation. But I want to make something clear to all listeners. We've always had a government. We've always had a government. Right from 1816, we had government-structured environments of how we ran our business, how we did our trade with the United States, how we went to the first battle that took place in 1816. This is where the nation was born. This is the heartbeat of the Red River Nation. So our governance, from buffalo hunts to community laws and processes, has always been there from the early 1800s and late 1700s all the way into now. So it's been something that we've always had, but nobody ever wanted to recognize it. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever wanted to see it. So when you look at the promise that was made by John A. Macdonald that he'd be treating with the half-breeds, you know, that promise was black and white inside Parliament on the premise that he made that promise because he would not be able to purchase, which we still people question whether he had the right to purchase, to buy the Northwest, because he wanted to build a rail line across from sea to sea. But when he made that statement very clearly, you know, because Queen Victoria at the time would not agree to send him an army, nor would he agree to sell it to him at any cost until he dealt with what they knew of the uprising in the West. So when you look at that today, you know, that promise is broken. Instead of the negotiators coming here, our military came to attack us and chase us off our land. Mm-hmm. So that's what you look at, and that was the course of changing history forever, putting us in the have-nots, putting us in the ones that would be left out, the ones with landless people with no economic strength beyond just the small business ventures that would be successful in some form or livable in some form. Same thing happened to the First Nation. They almost wiped them all out with all sorts of diseases and attempts to starve them and just ongoing atrocities when you look at it in history. You know, but one of the things I'm proud of Riel, and they don't teach it enough in school, but when Riel was negotiating in Manitoba coming into part of Confederation and bringing the West into Confederation, some of the pivotal things that he negotiated, of course, was the land for the Métis people and the children, but also that the treaty was to be negotiated. And yes, he protected French and English language, he protected freedom of religion and education, the right to have the independency of our own judiciary in the West. But one of the things that I really take apart is that because we were so closely aligned with our cousins, our First Nations, at that time, of course, the word was Indian, and if you look at the documents, but in Bill of Rights number 12, what Riel pushed to be negotiated and enshrined and supported by Canada was that the treaties of the Indians had to be established in order to create peace and harmony for us in the West, for all of us, that we were, because we would defend the First Nations in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. And we had a military force that we were not afraid of no one. And everybody knows the Métis history on that. So Bill of Rights number 12, Riel was pushing to make sure that treaties were put in place to protect the First Nations. But people forgot about that. And we got to remind ourselves that's the way we should be guiding ourselves. And that's what these treaties mean. How do we work together? How do we support each other? How do we stand together? So, as I said, I will continue to work, moving our agenda forward, but I truly look at the protection of the future. I can't see a leader unless there's discrimination and true non-Canadian ideology, a leader of any party or stripe going against our treaty. I cannot see it. Like how? Why would you ever try to shame this country? Because this country, yes, they're finally admitting all their wrongs. They did a lot of damage. a ton of damage, caused a loss of lives, lost a lot of lives in this country, Indigenous lives I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
This country is finally trying to deal with it, saying, okay, I did wrong. I can't change history. That's my message. You can't change history, but you damn well can change the future. And so this is the beginning point for me, is to recognize, that the history, this country is going to be brave enough to admit they're wrong. Although some will deny it, but the majority of Canadians feel the same way. You're going to admit you did wrong. You hurt and caused so much damage to people. We need to fix that. You can see some of it happening now with truth and conciliations, settlements, and all of that that's starting to take place in the process of this country. But what we can say now, any leader, that, as I said, why would you ever go against fixing the historical shame that carries a shadow in this country? Because now, any leader, whether it's Conservative, NDP, whether it's the Bloc Québécois, whether it's the Green Party, whether it's the Liberals, they can go out to anywhere in the world and say, well, we are admitting our wrongs. We truly are the country. We're trying to fix the wrongs. But we're going to assure ourselves we can't change history, but we'll change the future. And that's something that we can be proud of, because when I travel the world, whether I'm in Colombia, Peru, and other parts of the world, working with Indigenous tribes economically or culturally, or supporting their endeavors, you see how mean it still is out there, how wicked the outside tribes, Indigenous people, are to Indigenous people. It is beyond me. It's still like in the 1800s. Over here, you see that the horrendous actions of people being punished or slaved or being killed in other countries. So how they can tell in other countries, look at us in Canada. We are trying to fix the wrongs. We did too much damage, but we're admitting our damage. Now we're going to go forward with a new plan. So this treaty will begin the foundation of putting those things in perspective. When we have right now 2,000 kids in university, we're giving $5,000 each to. Mm-hmm. They should not, after ever, worry that the following year, and then year after that fund is still there. And it should be more. There should be more. And so, because look at it this way, it's not a charity. Government's not giving a charity. And I remind my people all the time, we pay billions of dollars in taxes every year. Government is supposed to return that investment to us to ensure that we have our rightful place in Canada. That's the premise of what the taxes are all about. And so when you look at it, the problem has been for us for decades and decades. They've never given us back any of our money investment in Canada. None of our taxes ever came back to us. We've always been left out. But now when you look at it, the investment in a child today, into a youth today, into an adult today that wants to pursue an education or a trade, you are now creating the future economic, I would say, engine of the country of Canada. Mm-hmm. Because these people will graduate, they will be our next managers of companies, they'll be our next electricians, they'll be our next lawyers, our next doctors. These are the future. So it never hurts to invest in something that will give you greater returns on your investment. So if everybody would be smart enough to think about that way, instead of looking at it from a race issue, look at it from an investment issue. You can see any investment of that nature helping a young generation prepare for the future, develop the future. Those are the ones that will be buying houses, buying cars, and helping the economy spin, buying furniture, on and on and on. So again, as I say, this treaty really sets the stage of imploring all those who denied our existence would come to say, well, we can no longer ever deny that the Red River Métis are here, have always been here, have always had self-government, and now we're going to sit down. We're not going to call them an organization or a group anymore. They're not just a bunch of people yelling out into the wind. These are elected government people who have their own government, and we need to sit down as we would with any government, whether federal to provincial, municipal to provincial, things of that nature. So again, as I said, it's a dream that I've had and many have had for me, and I'm proud that I've been able to pull this off, get it done, and get it in place. I'm not finished yet. The race is still going on right now. This is being signed by Canada saying we recognize, as a government of Canada, we recognize, they reference the wrongs of the history, but they also admit the plans of the future. So they're making it very clear we recognize the Red River Métis without question as a government. So moving forward, we still got to get it through how the law works in Canada, as First Nations can attest to you that work on these things.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to get it through Senate eventually, and the Senate, and there's other little bodies between, but they got to get it back from Senate, back to Parliament, and then vote it on to get royal assent. Once you get royal assent, it's the law of the land. So that is the system that we have in this country, and so we still got some a little bit more laps to go, but it's not far away. But I've done my homework. I've been lobbying very, very hard. As I said, I've lobbied the Bloc Québécois. I got their support. I met the leader. I met Jagmeet Singh. I met Elizabeth May. I also bumped into, I never had an official meeting yet with Pierre Poilievre, but I did bump into him in Parliament, and I did have a chat with him briefly. I did meet some of his MPs, talked about the treaty with them. We got the support without doubt from, of course, Gary himself is coming to sign it. Today, we got the support of the Prime Minister and the Liberal government. So we seem to have everybody on board. And if somebody comes now to say, well, we can't recognize that Red River people exist, nor we can't recognize that they should have a treaty, nor should we recognize that they have rights as they are protected in the Constitution already, it'll just be madness for anybody to come out and say that now today. So, like I said, we've worked very, very hard. Our locals, I can't tell you, I can't take them enough. All the executive people out there, for years and years and years, they've had fundraising, bake sales, to keep on promoting the culture of our people, to identify that we're a people that needs to be founded in a place that we belong in. Somewhere we belong in this country we helped build, we went to war for. So clearly, at the end, the ability for the locals and what the work they did is beyond me and animal. I know you're invited.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you there, and then
definitely
seeing how proud you'll be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look at you if I get a chance to see you.
I'll be there.
We got dignitaries and leaders coming from all over.
Yeah.
We got the Premier will be there. He'll be speaking. Of course, Gary has landed this morning. He's here already. Lieutenant Governor. You got, of course, other ministers will be there.
Mm-hmm.
MPs and the Lays. You got the leadership from the Métis settlements of Alberta that'll be here. You got mayors. You got the city Scott Gillingham, Mayor of Winnipeg, will be there. Mayor Selkirk and Mayor Brandon.
Wow.
So lots, and Chief Clear Sky will be there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very pleased to see, of course, my friend Chief Murray Clear Sky. You know, people never talk too much about this man, and they should, because this man has been elected once. He was chief of two reserves at the same time, and he got elected in both reserves, and so he's been a chief for at least 40 years. Me and him have been friends for a long time, and I invited him to come, and he was there without hesitation. And so, of course, the past chief of Rosa River was now a councillor, Karen Nelson, is also going to be there. The Lieutenant Governor that used to be, of course, Philip Lee, he's going to be there, and we asked if he can come. We want to be part of it. The Bloc Québécois is going to be there. So it goes on and on and on. So I'm proud to see so many. Of course, my entire cabinet's going to be there. And they're yesterday we had our cabinet meeting, and I tell you, they're all ecstatic. There's, one of the things I said this morning, I got to be careful. I don't cry because this touches me so much to the heart. Mm-hmm. It means so much. It means that we're finally going to be somewhere where this country has treated us in ways where we've had to fight so hard. And I've always told my people, there's nothing here we've ever received personally without fighting for it. Nobody's ever come knocking on our door and saying, look, we want to help the Métis and give them this. Nobody. Everything we have to fight for, pay for, or at the same time, push for to get to the place where we feel deserving. So it'll be live streamed. CBC, actually, National, is going to have a live stream. That's how important. They recognize themselves. Mm-hmm. This is the first true Métis treaty that was promised in 1870. So think about that, 154 years. So there's a lot of messages in that statement. And so CBC, we're going to live stream it. CBC is live streaming it. So it'll be on our website, the live streaming. You can get it there. You can see it also on a free press front page today. And so I got a lot of calls from mayors. I think the mayor of But Churchill, Spence, he reached out to me to congratulate me, and some of my other colleagues and friends have been reaching out everywhere and all walks of life, and I'm proud of that. How people look towards the Métis today. But I'll close off now. I know there's probably other people want to call in for their family events and other events, but I'll start off with happy birthdays.
Okay.
A happy 54th birthday is going to Minister Sean Nolt, one of our cabinet ministers who just came back from overseas. Actually, he was representing us in the veterans file, and he was out in Europe. So his is in fact yesterday was his birthday. We sang happy birthday around cabinet to him. Mm-hmm. No, today's his birthday. I apologize. Yesterday we sang happy birthday to him in cabinet, but today he actually said, "What better present can you ever ask for than being involved in signing a treaty? Your mom would be very, very proud of you," I told him. Mm-hmm. Also, happy 75th birthday is going to Don Roulette. 75.
Oh my goodness!
So, I know, and he says to him, he said he still looks good. Mm-hmm. So he's celebrating his birthday on this Tuesday, December 3rd. I'll have to throw a birthday party for him for sure. Mm-hmm. And happy birthday is going to Ron Richard, who's celebrating. He actually was a vice president at one time. He's retired from Hydro now. He's celebrating his birthday on Thursday, December 5th. So, and yesterday there was tears shed, a lot of tears. Went out for dinner. Richard, our minister, of course, and from Duck Bay, Richard Janai. Mm-hmm. His wife arrived yesterday, Maribel, and from the Philippines, and it was a hard journey to get her here. A lot of complications, a lot of issues, but we finally got all the paperwork done after several years, and she can't wait to get to Duck Bay. And so the question they asked her, because she comes from a hot country, Philippines, they said, "How do you feel walking around here now and the weather?" She said, "You know what? It's like walking around in a fridge."
It's going to be amazing to watch her journey.
And I said, they give her some jackets yesterday for gifts, and they'll close off shortly. But they give her some jackets, stuff. Family did that, and because they know that she'll come from a warm country with thin clothes. Anyway, so she was putting them on. I said, "Get used to putting them on." I said, because Richard still uses a wood stove at home. That's his mom and my sister, that was their tradition, always having a wood stove. Mm-hmm. And they still have it. My mom always had a wood stove also. Mm-hmm. And so I told her, get used to having a jacket, because I assure you, when Richard goes to bed, he ain't going to get up and make a fire in the middle of the night. So you better wear that jacket to bed. But she fits right in. And the Philippines have a similar culture to us. And so I look forward to enjoying a new addition to our family. And so we're proud to have Maribel here with us today. And Richard, I tell you, he was shedding his tears. So
Richard, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, you'll have a chance to meet her eventually, Naomi, and of course. But again, to all those that have helped and stood by our government through thick and thin, knowing that one day we're going to get the things that we always make the statement, we never give up. And that's a good example to a young generation. Never give up. Fight for what is right, fight for what is just. And never give up. Never give up to what is deserving and what is rightfully yours and ours. So,
congratulations to you.
Pardon me?
I said congratulations to you. I know you've been working hard for this.
Well, I've given my life to it. So, but I want to say thank you to all the elders, always those that passed and left us. I'm sure they're watching down. And as Chadwick said, he says, "I feel ancestors today," and I truly do. I played to Yale last night. I played to him this morning. And I can't say enough of the pride I have on the elders and the guidance, the youth, the pride they have. And this our families and our locals that work so hard to keep being proud of who we are. So thank you again, Naomi. Thank you, Cowboy. And you guys keep up the good work. And again, thank you all the listeners. I hope you're all proud as I am. And Red River Métis is finally getting some justice in this country.
All right, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.